by Chris Canty. Hey, Chris, thanks for hanging with us.
Good morning, Jenna. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Got the bright red on.
You got orange and blue. You got your Mets colors on.
Virginia.
You got your Knicks colors, your Mets
but he's
colors.
a UVA.
No, I'm not. No, these are not Mets colors. I'm a Yankees
Or are
fan.
they Knicks? Right.
Dear God, please don't say that.
Okay.
Don't mention the Mets.
Once again, Matt is botch an intro.
No, you're fine. Just
Chris
all this
Canty.
shade from what the Mets ever do to you, Canty?
So many things.
It's what the Mets do to their fan
Okay,
base. It's not me. I'm a Yankees fan.
Canty, kicking off your segment with
Mets
a little...
did go to a World Series this past decade. I don't know if the Yankees did, but I'm not a baseball guy.
Well, if the
Hey.
Astros didn't have a cheating
I don't
scandal.
know.
I mean,
I don't know. I'm just saying.
36-year-old Aaron Rodgers gearing up for his 16th season in the league, and his teammate, Zadarius Smith, thinks A-Rod has plenty of gas left in the tank. Say what?
I think Aaron Rodgers got another 10 years left up under his belt, man.
Are you
another
serious?
10.
He's what? He's 30.
I lift weights with him. He's still legit.
Aaron Rodgers can play 10 more years.
Yes, I promise you he
Because
can.
Breeze is talking about
Listen to
retirement.
me.
Brady does.
That
People
don't
don't
have
know
nothing to
Brady's
do.
okay.
That don't have nothing to do
Aaron
with
Rodgers
12.
is what right now? 33, 38?
I don't know his age. But I know he's an OG in the game and he's legendary.
10 more years.
10 more years.
Seems like a
That might be
lot of
overstated.
years.
Oh, look at A-Rod. Oh, that's a good graphic of Aaron Rodgers. I like that. How many years he got left, Canty?
I'm going to say A-Rod has about 3 good seasons left in him.
So Zadarius Smith says
Three
plus
good.
7.
I couldn't even hear what my teammate Z was saying just because he had so much ice on and was so loud.
I was about to say
it was
the same
real icy right there.
But it was-
he didn't look like that when he came to Baltimore as a 4th-round draft pick. I'm going to just say it like that.
To quote Kevin Garnett and Stephon Marbury, but it was tastefully done.
Okay.
It was. I mean, the chain and charm game were perfect.
Yeah.
The little oversized rope chain, and then the charm with the number. I loved it.
Yeah,
It's great.
I can't be mad at Double Nickel. He's shining right now. Got
10
a little
out of
money,
10.
Got a little money in free agency last year.
I forgot you played with him. You were the savvy vet when he got.
I was the
drafted.
savvy
You were
vet.
the savvy vet when he got drafted.
Taught him how to ball like that, too.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Not the
He
game. I'm
easily-
talking about off the field.
A minute and a half to realize that what the ice meant. I was like, they didn't do it outdoors. It was obviously inside. Nobody was cold, but I got it. You know why? Give me context.
Because you're my friend.
Ice.
This is,
Yep.
comments like that, that's the inner monologue.
I know. You know me.
You don't have to
I have
tell
none.
the audience
There's
that.
no difference.
You don't have to tell the audience you didn't
why
understand
the
what we were
audience
talking about.
America
loves
was
what
just
I have
fine
to
without,
offer. Yeah, you're
without
right.
you going into details.
That's
John.
right.
I'm glad you finished that sentence. Time for stories to start your morning at home. Sponsored by Ram
Yeah.
Trucks, built to serve. Here we go. Last night, the Lakers beat up on the Nuggets 120 to 116 in overtime. They enter the All-Star break up 4 games in the West. Nick, how big was this win for the Lakers?
Well, they only got 29 games left, and they are 5 losses clear of the 2 seed. Right now, they're on pace to go 63-19. Every other team in the West has at least 17 losses already. Say this. They're the 1 seed. They're going to do their load managing the final week of the regular season when they have the 1 seed locked up. Had they lost to Denver, the team on their heels, it's a little more questionable. So that is a great win in the game. They were down 6 with 4 minutes remaining.
Yeah, this is all about having the easiest path to be able to compete for a championship, and they've set themselves up well. We talked about it earlier in the year, how important it was for them to get out to a fast start, just because you want to be in a position to rest LeBron as you go down the stretch, knowing that you're going to rely on him to be your primary playmaker once you get into the postseason. LeBron is going to play 40-plus minutes, so you'd like to have that on fresh legs.
All right, moving on. Last night, Luka Doncic played after missing the last 7 games with an ankle injury. Played well, dropped 33, led the Mavs to a dominant win over the Kings. Nick, how good was your guy Luka last night?
Listen, when he's played, the Mavericks have had the best offense in the NBA. They have the best offense in the NBA over the course of the season by a decent margin, even given the fact that he's missed some time. And in the games he's playing, it is just, we are talking 6 points better than the next best offense in basketball. He has been marvelous all year long. He hasn't turned 21 yet. He turns 21 here in a few weeks. He already has the 2nd most 30-point games of anyone in NBA history before their 21st birthday. Tied Kevin Durant on that yesterday. On the offensive end of the court, he's one of the 5 best players in basketball already, and he didn't miss a beat after missing that time.
Yeah, he made everybody raise an eyebrow last year when he said that scoring in the NBA was easier than scoring professionally in Europe. But then seeing what he's doing as an encore performance to his rookie year, I mean, like you said, he's already one of the top 10 players in basketball, top 5 offensive player.
He's got a great
Just a really
stepdad.
special guy. The way that he's transformed that Mavericks organization is
Stepdad.
unbelievable.
Yeah, stepdad. Are you
I'm his father.
Nick, this is the first time.
Large adult Slovenian son. I've never said large adult Slovenian stepson. Stay out of my family business.
That is, you're correct, and I take full responsibility for botching that one.
Talking
Dallas Cowboys now.
Canty was making an important basketball point, and we played the me and Luka Photoshop.
I love it.
Sorry, Canty.
While all the attention has been on what the team will do with Dak Prescott, don't forget they got a wide receiver to lock up in Amari Cooper. A new report says the Cowboys are prepared to offer Dak a deal with at least 6 years and then use the franchise tag on Amari. Kenny, would this be the right move for Dallas?
Yeah, I think it's the right move for Dallas because you've been working on the Dak contract for over a year now. You haven't even started with the Amari contract, so I think you have a better framework in place to work off of when trying to get across the finish line with Dak on an extension versus Amari. It just makes sense. I mean, Dak Prescott is not going to settle for anything less than the $35 million a year that Russell Wilson's getting paid in new money average. With Amari Cooper, I'm not sure exactly where he fits in, but the Cowboys, Stephen Jones, he made it clear coming into the offseason that priority number one is getting Dak done. I think you work off of that. You have more options in terms of how you handle the other guys after you get that deal done.
You know, I'd rather franchise Dak than give him $35+ million a year. The Cowboys, though, they got to take ownership of this. They've been excellent at acquiring talented players. They have somewhat mishandled how to ensure you retain those quality players. They trade a first-round pick for Amari Cooper. They are yet to get a contract extension done with him. He has the hammer in negotiations because they traded that first-round pick away. They end up folding the 10 up with Zeke when he did hold out, give him record-setting deal for a running back, and now they're in a position where they might be giving Dak 6 years. 6 years when most of these quarterback deals are either a 4 or 5 year extension. None of this, to me, sounds good for the Cowboys, and I think they're going to end up probably overpaying for all these players.
All right, moving on. As Tom Brady awaits free agency, he continues to train and focus as if it's just a regular offseason. Newsflash, not a regular offseason, Brady. According to a report, he and the Patriots have yet to engage in any contract talks at all. Nick, does it surprise you the Pats haven't approached Tom Brady yet?
No, listen, the Patriots missed their window here. Not to keep Tom, but to have Tom sign an extension prior to free agency. You're now at he's reached the finish line. Now he just has to wait for the clock to expire, and he will get to visit other teams. He will get to see how other teams do things, have other coaches, have other owners woo him, have other teams put in front of him 3 years. $100 million. I think that contract might be out there for Tom Brady, even if the last year is more of a dummy year. The only way I believe, Canty, the New England Patriots prevent Tom Brady from reaching free agency is if they do what they could have done 9 months ago to prevent this from ever happening, which is not offer him a contract extension, offer him a multi-year contract extension with guarantees attached past the first year, so Tom Brady knows I'm not going to be back in this same position again next year. I don't think the Patriots are ready to do that. I think they more want the rest of the market to set the market for Tom Brady. And so, yeah, I don't expect that we're going to hear Tom Brady and the Patriots have agreed to a deal prior to free agency, because if that was going to happen, it would have happened prior to this past season.
Well, if they don't agree to a deal before free agency starts, then there's a $13.5 million cap charge that hits because they amortized the signing bonus that they gave him on the last deal. So it's a situation, if they don't get something done, then Tom Brady's not coming back to New England, because you can't have $13.5 million on your cap and then turn around and pay him market value or pay him anything close to what other teams are going to be looking to offer him, because you only have $29 million in cap space to start with. So to me, this has got to heat up sooner rather than later, just because the New England Patriots have got to form a plan on how they're going to deal with their quarterback situation going into 2020. They need to know if Tom Brady's going to be around. And if he's not, they need to move on to their contingency. So I don't think this is going to drag out to the legal tampering period that starts on March 16th, because Bill Belichick needs answers sooner rather than later.
Well, we keep waiting for them to make a decision, but maybe we're just missing the tea leaves. We're not reading the tea leaves here. Maybe they are sort of making a decision by not approaching him. Am I right?
Well, that they would rather Brady break up with them than him have to officially break up with him.
Maybe they are sort of making that decision.
I think that they would. I do think they want Tom Brady back, but at what price, right? I don't think they would prefer Brady just totally walk away. If Brady said, guys, right now, I'll play for $20 million, one-year contract, $20 million, I think they'd sign up for that in a heartbeat. The question I have for you, though, Canty, is what incentive does Brady have to not hit free agency? What incentive you're saying that it's got to heat up quick because of the dead money charge?
Yeah.
And it's a smart point, and it's a good point, and it's one a lot of people are missing. That if the moment free agency starts, if Brady's not on a new deal, $14 million hits their cap due to previous contracts. But that's a New England Patriot problem.
It's not a Brady problem.
That's not a Brady problem. If Brady played through this season without a contract, asked them to put in the franchise tag provision where they can't do it, it was to hit free agency. What incentive does he have when he's at the finish line to not actually hit free agency?
Well, I don't know if that provision was put in place to necessarily hit free agency. I think it was put in place so he could have as many options as possible.
Negotiating leverage?
Anytime you're a player and you have a lot of options, chances are you're going to put yourself in a better situation. I think that's what Tom Brady was looking for. And by better situation, I'm not saying a different team. I think better situation could mean more money. It could mean more weapons. And I think that's what Tom Brady is looking at, because everybody's criticizing him now and saying that he's fallen off a cliff because you had a lack of production in the passing game in comparison to years past where we've seen Brady at an elite level.
Sure.
So I think that this is all about Tom Brady trying to take advantage of the twilight of his career. And in order to do that, he's got to force Bill Belichick's hands in order to put pieces around him. Because when you start looking at all the other prospective destinations for Tom Brady, I'm not sold that he wants to sign up and go play for those organizations.
It might be true. Just the one very quick follow-up. If part of it is what you said about weapons, Brady would be just assigning a lot of faith to the Patriots that they will actually go get those weapons. Because if we're talking about him signing before free agency begins, it would be a leap of faith for Tom that it's like, Tom, come back, sign this, we will go get X, Y, and Z. Tom's going to have to take them on their word on that because free agency will have not begun yet.
But not if it's a multi-year deal, because you have an opportunity then.
Multiple bites at the apple.
Multiple bites at the apple, exactly.
Absolutely.
All right, we got to move on now. Let's talk about the latest with Antonio Brown. After what has been a disastrous year, being released by the Raiders and the Patriots for a number of different controversies, the one superstar has been making the apology tour, seems to be in a different headspace now. Yesterday on Instagram, he posted an apology to Ben Roethlisberger, his former quarterback. Said, I never realized how good I had it, got caught up in my emotions with everyone coming after me. I really apologize for my actions. Sincerely, man, it's never been another connection like what we done in the past decade. I appreciate you. Sincerely, AB. You know, Kenny, his words sound good. You're laughing. I'm sure the same way I interpreted this soundbite. But if you're a team and you've watched all of this unfold, is the risk worth the reward when it comes to Antonio Brown?
For me, it's not. This is just more erratic behavior from Antonio Brown, and right now I can't trust his decision-making. So if I'm an organization that's looking to get more production from the wide receiver position,
That's not where you're looking.
That's not the direction I'm going in. Not at least for me. I think there's too much baggage that comes along with Antonio Brown. All the things that we've seen play out this offseason, from the domestic disturbances at his house, issues with law enforcement in South Florida. It's just one thing after another.
Instagram living.
And one thing after another with Antonio Brown. And if I'm an organization, I'm not looking to bring in that distraction. Now, in looking at how that divorce in Pittsburgh took place, it was because Antonio Brown realized that he wasn't being treated like Ben Roethlisberger, another player that had a lot of baggage that came along with him. And in looking at it, yeah, AB didn't know how good he had it. That 6-year stretch that he and Big Ben put together is arguably the best 6-year stretch of any wide receiver in the history of our game. So when you're playing with a future Hall of Fame quarterback, yeah, that's a good situation to be in. Grass is not necessarily greener on the other side, but AB wanted to get a new contract, more guaranteed money. He got that in Oakland, and then he found a way to talk himself out of that situation as well. But, I mean, the apology does nothing for me in terms of repairing his image and getting him on the fast track back into the NFL. I thought his last shot was going to be with the New England Patriots, and I still stand by that. Because, Nick, I know you're a big believer in take integrity, so I still stand by AB having his last shot in the NFL.
And if he was going to have another shot, it appeared to maybe come in New Orleans And he Instagrammed his way out of that spot. Even if that wasn't going, they weren't going to offer him a job, he didn't help himself there. You guys remember the great Matthew McConaughey vehicle, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days?
Very well.
It is a classic. I mean, Antonio Brown this is how to lose a career in 365 days. I mean, this is what it is. I wouldn't have thought it was possible, barring, you know, incarceration.
Barring this.
Barring the fact that he was injury or incarceration where he's not, like, doesn't have his freedom, that he could potentially be out of the league. But I do think this was the first step to him getting back in the league. But it is a lot more steps to come. I think he's going to publicly have to do not only a 60-minute style interview, but I think it's going to have to come after, honestly, like real personal work. Whether that's therapy, whether that's life coaching, I think he's going to have to show that he has cut ties with the circle around him of enablers and do-boys who have just been, yeah, AB, of course you're right, of course you're... I think he is going to have to come back a person we don't recognize. Because right now, people do, when you say Antonio Brown, you do not think of the amazing catches. You do not think of the 1,500-yard seasons. You do not think of the Hall of Fame production. You do not think of the guy that I said was en route to arguably becoming the greatest football player under 6 feet tall ever. You think of, you know, on the spectrum of frozen feet to horrific allegations or anything in the middle, some of the, from nonsense to criminality he's been associated with. So I'm not ready to say his career's over. I am ready to say if it was a Brewster's Millions type of situation where someone had bet him $100 million, can you end your career in a year? He would have not changed a single thing he's done. he would have done exactly this for the big reveal at the end. Like, so the NFL is all about 9th, 10th, 11th chances.
Yep.
But he might have played himself out of it, which is shocking to me because I don't think anyone disputes if he had to play a football game today. He's a top 5 receiver in football.
Everybody would agree.
We saw that in the one game with New England.
One game in New England.
And he still is looking for a home. And I don't know if he's ready to do the real personal accountability necessary. Maybe the court will force him to. And maybe that'll be helpful for him. Because I do think, and I don't say this lightly, he's someone that needs help. And I think that's the first step for him, or the second step.
Because the words are the easy part. Let me just apologize to everyone. I'll get back on a team and everything's going to be okay again. You don't know if you're going to get the Antonio Brown of the last 12 months or the Antonio Brown of the last 2 weeks who's apologizing. We talked about what the teams would do. You were a player. Is it different when you look at a guy like Antonio Brown? Would you want a guy like that in your locker room? Or at this point, does it really only matter what he does on the field?
Well, it just depends on where he's at mentally and emotionally. I think those are the things that you're looking at with Antonio Brown. The physical aspects of it have never been a question. But for me, it's about, is he surrounding himself with the right people in order to make good decisions?
Right now, the answer is no.
Right now, the answer is no. And if he could do it on his own, he would have done it by now. So for me, I need him to have a rabbi, somebody to publicly come and wrap their arms around him, somebody that has credibility in NFL circles, similar to what we saw Tony Dungy do for Michael Vick and him coming out of prison. I think it's going to take somebody like that, you know, coming into his life and being able to provide him a path to get his life back on track. And then his career becomes secondary. But for me, it's about seeing Antonio Brown make the necessary steps to make good life choices, because right now he's not doing it.
I think it's going to have to be done by a judge. Honest to God. I think that court case he's dealing with right now, I think if they have some court-ordered personal work that he has to do to go along with community service, I think something that he has to do that is not his choice, that flips a switch for him, is his best hope. We talk about guys being enabled, guys sometimes being their own worst enemy or their talent. I think that has clearly happened with Antonio Brown. I do not think he will do it on his own, and I think he's got enough money that if and when he were to run out of money, it would be years down the road to where sometimes that's the moment where people realize I got to get my act together. By then his career would be over. I think because the people around him are too often, it would appear from reports, financially dependent on him. So they are not looking him in the eye and saying, Antonio, you're blowing everything. You were homeless, you were a 6th-round pick, you know, mid-major school, to a no-doubt Hall of Famer, and in 365 days, it's all gone. that has not been enough of a realization for him. I think someone's going to have to make him realize it. I don't know if that person's there yet.
It's such a sad situation for a guy who has so much talent on the field. All right, we got to take a break. Coming up.